Mage Legendary, Sindragosa. Kind of surprised to see Mage, you know? Sindragosa I thought was pretty neutral-ish. But I guess it freezes stuff. So you get some Frozen Champions. Frozen Champions are cards, they can attack, but they're 0-1, so you kind of have to buff them to attack, or because you're Mage, you can set them on fire with your hero power. Why would you want to do that? As 0-1 Frozen Champions have a death rattle of putting a random legendary card into your hand. So Sindragosa is basically like a crazy high value card, but it costs 8. 8 is fine. 9 is where things get really rough with mana. With 8 you can often do like a freeze effect and play this, and maybe you can do that playing kind of like a control mage. Maybe some dragons. Keep in mind some of the dragon discovery cards are going to get this card like every single time. Like even if you don't have this in your deck, if you're playing a few dragons with a Netherspite Historian, you're just going to get this every single time you play it because the discovery options are weighted with class cards like 400% occurrence bonus. So you're basically going to see this every single time you play a successful Netherspite Historian. So something worth noting. But yeah, seems kind of clunky and slow.
Sindragosa, the big mage dragon. They mighty 8/8 and summons 2/0/1 Frozen Champions. And it's the text of the Frozen Champion that's exciting. When you break either champion, you get a random legendary in your hand. So it's a really late game card. It kind of matches Medivh in the sense that Medivh is meant to be played as an 8 mana 7/7, which will get you 3, well, usually about 2 big cards and 1 like little card. Sindragosa will probably on average get you a medium card and a large card. Medivh goes off much faster. You immediately get a weapon, you immediately get to start casting stuff. With Sindragosa, you add these legendaries into your hand, and then you have to pay the mana to summon them. And I have to say here, it seems like it's a one or the other thing. In terms of Medivh versus Sindragosa. I suppose if the format slowed down enough, you could conceivably run both. Will the format slow down enough for Sindragosa to be good? We'll see. It's kind of in the same line as Needsled Shredder. As it is in Mage, you do get the ability to Fire Blast your own Frozen Champions, but I imagine you're going to want a more efficient way to activate your Frozen Champions, unless the meta is really, really slow.
Right, Sindragosa, 8 mana, 8/8. Battlecry summon 2/0/1 Frozen Champions. Each Frozen Champion has a death rattle. It gives you random legendary into your hand. Stat line and the Battlecry reminds me a bit of all hated Dr. Boom. This time for 8 mana. You can compare this to. Boombat has better death rattle and better stats than a Frozen Champion. This card has +1/+1, but it's also 8 mana compared to Dr. Boom. Like Dr. Boom Battlecry, like think about it. It does 1-4 damage to random enemy. And it's 0 mana, right? Getting a legendary, you get it, it's cool. But you need to spend mana playing it. So is it still good enough to play? Currently, I don't see this being any better than Medivh. This card reminds me also of Ronin. This card reminds me of Ronin a bit. It's cool on paper, but don't place it because it's just too slow. It has a synergy with Nazas, I suppose. But if you play Nazas and you play Sindragosa and you play Jaina Lich, Frost Lich Jaina, it's just too much stuff. You don't need so much. You will win control games anyway. Seems pretty good for Arena because you get so much value for one card. It's like a Ysera. Yeah, I don't think it's good. I think Medivh is just better. When you play Medivh, you get a 7/7 over 8/8, and then you get Atish. And Atish is 0 mana, right? So as soon as you play a spell, bam, you have a creature on board. It's free. Medivh is just so much better than this. But if there will be like an elemental deck with Frostlich Jaina, when you play no Firelands Portal but you play Blaze Callers, like all this type of mage needs is maybe like one class specific elemental for it to play. And then Frostlich Jaina has synergy with 0/1 Frozen Champions, you might say, because you play Jaina on 9, and on 10 you play Sindragosa, and your hero power is 0/1, and you get a 3/8 elemental for free. I mean, on paper it's good, it just like only works against control really, because how often you can spend your 9 mana doing nothing Like, you summon a 3/8 Water Elemental, and then spend next turn doing nothing again. How often can you do it currently in Hearthstone? I don't think you do it ever. Like, there's no control warriors to play this type of game. I would say this card can see some play, but it needs to be a really slow meta. Also, looking at all legendaries, there are many legendaries which are really terrible. Speaking of Prince Malkezar, very bad card because there are a lot of bad legendaries. And it also decreases consistency of your deck overall. Probably won't see any play.
And the second legendary revealed for Mage besides Frostlace Jaina, Sindragosa, became the mage. Well, we all knew that Sindragosa will probably become into this set. It was a really likely asset out of the whole, the Frozen Throne, the Lich King, that Sindragosa had to get there in. And it became the mage legendary, Sindragosa. And Sindragosa summons 2 0/1 Frozen Champions. The 0/1 Frozen Champions are having a death rattle of drawing you an additional legendary card. So the 2 Frozen Champions that are coming directly on the board, they will draw you a potential additional legendary. You don't really see it, but it's pretty powerful effect of having an 8 mana 8/8 dragon with 2 0/1s on the board that giving you two new legendaries. I really see a different direction going into Mage nowadays, where Blizzard seems to want to go a little bit away of the burn-oriented Mage concept, what was around for 2-3 years, and now really adding that more value perspective to the Mage, where there are a lot of strong cards where the value becomes insane at some point, where it might be almost impossible to outvalue, and of course Mage can still rely on cards like Ice Block. So there are a lot of powerful effects that has great potential there for Mage. 8 mana 8/8 Battle Cry, summon 2 1/1. So the cards, the Battle Cry, normally Battle Cry minions are having a great concept of directly getting back in the game. This one is a little bit different because you gain 2 Frozen Champions. You of course also have to kill off your own Frozen Champions, you can of course do with your own hero power, but yeah, it might not be as obvious directly. You have to spend so mana on killing your Frozen Champions, but for that you draw additional legendaries. So you gain for both. You gain an additional legendary card. So in that way, the value of this card again a really insane value card for Mage. Mage just has one big worry, and that is that it might just be too late game heavy. That you need to have enough to survive the early game, to get into your Sindragosa, to get yourself into Jaina. But yeah, value wise, great card. Definitely one of the big legendaries that there are good reasons for to play. I think Sindragosa is really powerful. You have to make your mage deck around it. Sindragosa is not gonna fit in the current mage decks. I think Mage is going in a totally different direction, where you want to play your Mage deck with just a lot of removal, you cut all the burn, play with a lot of surviving abilities, and then cards like Sindragosa and Frostlace Jaina, then they can really shine.
Well, this next Mage card has a little bit of draw on it, and it's also got a ton of flavor. Let's go ahead and introduce the Mage legendary Sindragosa. 8 mana 8/8. Battlecry. Summon 2 0/1 Frozen Champions. The Frozen Champion is a token minion. You get 2 of them, and they state Death Rattle. Add a random legendary minion to your hand. So this one has a lot to take in. There's, the fact that you summon 3 minions, the fact that the Frozen Champions give you a lot of value into it. So a lot of people get super excited, and they're stating that it's their favorite card of the set so far.
Dr. 8! Well, you have to that inside,
Frozen Champions is it?
Don't have taunt though, so you have to invest your own mana to activate them.
I really want this card to be good. It's the kind of card, I mean, it's a dragon. It is, a card that gives you sick long game value, creates a variety of gameplay with the random legendaries and stuff. It's hard for me to imagine this being good enough, because you're investing 8 mana into something that is just a body on the board immediately. the minions, like Firebat said, require some sort of investment to actually kill them because they don't have taunt. Like you have to ping them off yourself, which is kind of cool. You're thawing them with your Fire Blast or whatever. It's kind of
Right. Flavor wise, it's actually really good.
right. No,
I mean,
I think that this is the sort of card that if you're playing like a long game like value type mage deck, maybe this is good. But like, are you gonna play this over Medivh? Because Medivh gives you like value, long game value, similar body, and tempo when you're like playing spells. You're getting extra bodies. Like if you like Fire Lance Portal or Flame Strike with a Medivh, it's like that's much more powerful than pinging something off, hoping to get a good legendary that you then have to pay the mana for.
Well, it's immune to weapon removal. I mean, a lot of people were starting to save weapon removal for Medivh, so there's
true. That's true. It does have a different dynamic.
There is a little bit of symmetrical damage on Mage, like Volcanic Potion kills your 0/1s. You can also throw in a Wild Pyromancer, like if you want to play a grinder style and just like.
Yeah, I don't think the problem is being able to kill the Frozen Champions. It's just like, is this worth investing all the mana that you're doing into it? Like, Mage doesn't really have, and this is another thing. It's like if there's better healing tools for Mage, maybe you can keep yourself alive to like play this grindier type of game. But this is the sort of thing that maybe you could do in like if there was Reno. You could try and have this like Outlast style Mage deck. But it's like, is this going to be anywhere near as good as just burning your opponent out? Like that's one of the problems with trying to play any control mage deck that isn't basically freeze mage in some capacity, is that usually being freeze mage is better.
Yeah, I think it's better to kill your opponent than to play an 8-mana 8/8.
Way less fun.
Then sit around to activate them and then rely on random legendaries. It's so much easier just to pyroblast them in the face.
Well, there is the cool interaction where Sindragosa's Frozen Champions might give you another one. You can keep getting infinite dragon value.
I don't know how good a random legendary is right now, but Sneed's Old Shredder in Wild, for example, is terrible. Like, you get the random legendary you get is usually pretty bad. So I haven't done like any sort of research or math on what a random legendary is, but I imagine it's not that insane. I think
as time has gone on, we've had more and more like low and mid cost legendaries that have been added to the pool. So it hasn't been so much like, oh look, you got like a giant dragon or whatever. You're more getting things like Genzo the Shark or Cho or whatever. There's just so many small ones. Sergeant Sally or whatever.
Yeah,
it's definitely better in standard than Wild, but we'll see. I think I have a lot of hope for this one, but yeah, some people were saying it's amazing. Some people say it's not good.
I have hope, but I don't have faith. Like I hope it'll be good, but I don't think it'll actually be like high level competitive good.
I don't know.
You're very likely to get it off of Netherspite Historian if you're playing Dragon Mage. That's something that's exciting to me.
Okay, I think that's going to be like the only time it really sees play in competitive. I don't think anyone's actually.
What dragons you play in your Dragon Mage deck anyway?
I guess if you're playing Dragon Mage isn't going to be competitive. I don't think this card's good.
You're so positive usually, Kibler, about stuff like this. So,
like I said, I want it to be good. And if there's a world in which you can play like a grindy, attrition-y control mage deck that Medivh isn't just better in, maybe it'll be good. And I'm sure I'm going to play it, but I don't think it's likely to be a particularly strong card in the overall deck.
Touché.